Since when did going to church make you a target for the FBI? The government is building a secret enemies list, and if you're a person of faith, you might already be on it. We have the proof.
Your predecessor sit right where you're sitting, and he has repeatedly lied to, there's no other word for it, lied to this committee. He told us initially that it didn't happen, that the FBI didn't make any lists of churches. That's not true. We have it. A whistleblower brought forward the list for us. He said then that only one field office had worked on it. Turns out we know from another whistleblower, multiple field offices worked on it. He said that it was never posted on the internal system. It turns out it was. We believe it's still in effect. Will you find out who was involved in this gross abuse of Americans' First Amendment rights? And will you discipline them? And if you possibly can, will you fire them, Mr. Patel, consistent with department policy and law?
Senator, you have my commitment to investigate any matters such as this one that are important to Congress. I will fully utilize, if confirmed, the investigative powers of the FBI to give you the information you require and also to hold those accountable who violated the sacred trust placed in them at the FBI.
I'm glad to hear you say that, and I'm glad you use the word sacred trust, because that's exactly what it is. The FBI is the most powerful law enforcement body in this nation, arguably the most powerful law enforcement body, at least in a free nation in the world. And to have this body corrupted politically such that it is targeting people of faith in this country and then lying about it to this committee and the American people is unimaginable. I'll be honest with you. I never thought this would happen in the United States of America. I just didn't. If you had told me 5 years ago we'd be reading memos like this, I would have said, no way, that's bad fiction. In fact, it's a horrible reality. The department needs to be cleaned up, the agency does, and rights restored and protected. I'm glad to hear you say that. Let me ask you this. Do you think it is appropriate for the FBI to be sending agents, including counterterrorism agents, to the parents of children who went to school board meetings and asked about critical race theory in their schools, asked about the school's masking policy during COVID? Should those parents be treated as domestic terrorists?
Parents who have the courage to ensure their children are taught what they feel is right, and those who have the courage of their convictions to go houses of worship, in my book, will never be domestic terrorists.
I'm delighted to hear you say that. You're familiar, I am sure, with this memorandum issued by the Attorney General, the last Attorney General, Merrick Garland, directing the FBI and other law enforcement agencies to look into parents who went to these school board meetings, and we know from whistleblowers who've come forward to this committee and given us the evidence that, in fact, the FBI opened multiple cases against multiple parents across the nation, I believe, including in my home state of Missouri, another gross abuse, incredible political power brought to bear against everyday citizens. Why? Because they went to a school board meeting that they're paying for and asked about what their kids were being taught. Once again, I can't imagine, I couldn't have ever thought this would happen in the United States of America. Will you find out who was involved in this policy within the FBI, who agreed with it, who implemented it, who encouraged it? Will you find out that, Mr. Patel? Will you do an internal investigation? And will you make clear that those who supported this policy are appropriately disciplined? And will you make clear that the FBI will never do something like this again?
If confirmed and pursuant to your congressional request, absolutely, Senator.
Thank you. Let me ask you this. Do you think it's appropriate for the FBI to target people of faith, particularly those who hold pro-life convictions? Do you think it's appropriate for the FBI to single out and target people of faith in order to discourage the exercise of their First Amendment rights?
There can never be a targeting by law enforcement just based on their people's faiths.
And yet, under this last administration, the FBI and DOJ together brought numerous prosecutions under the FACE Act for nonviolent protests. President Trump has recently pardoned some of these folks, but it also includes individuals like Mark Houck from Philadelphia region, from Pennsylvania, who had an FBI SWAT team arrive at his door in the early hours of the morning, armed, of course, terrorizing him and his children, took him into custody. They charged him with a FACE Act violation. Why? Because he took his young son to a peaceful demonstration outside an abortion clinic. When his young son was shoved to the ground, he defended him.
What is up, everyone? Jace Manwa here. If you're passionate about defending American freedoms from the woke mob and a weaponized government, you're in the right place. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to stay in the fight with me. Today, We're breaking down a clip that should make the blood of every single American patriot boil. It's from a Senate hearing, and it features a senator finally holding the FBI's feet to the fire for their blatant, unconstitutional attacks on we the people. Let's get into it. What we just saw is a stunning admission of everything we've been saying for years. The FBI, the very agency tasked with protecting us, has been weaponized against ordinary, law-abiding American citizens. This isn't conspiracy theory anymore. This is confirmed under oath. First, they were spying on Catholics. Let that sink in. The FBI created memos listing Catholic churches as potential terrorist threats and directed agents to recruit informants, spies, inside our parishes. Because faithful Catholics tend to be pro-life, pro-family, and conservative. That was enough for the FBI to label them suspect. This is a direct assault on the First Amendment, on our freedom of religion. It's pure, unadulterated tyranny. Then they targeted parents. Remember those moms and dads who had the audacity to show up at school board meetings to protest critical race theory and forced masking? The FBI, under Merrick Garland's directive, treated them like domestic terrorists. Think about that. While actual criminals run free, the full weight of the federal government came down on parents who cared about their children's education. It's an absolute disgrace and a chilling message to anyone who dares to speak up. And it doesn't stop there. They sicked SWAT teams on pro-life activists like Mark Houck, terrorizing his family in the early morning hours for the crime of defending his son at a peaceful protest. He was acquitted by a jury, but the message was sent: hold a traditional belief, and you become a target. This is the two-tiered justice system in action. They'll mobilize a SWAT team for a pro-life dad but look the other way when pregnancy centers and churches are firebombed. It's not about law and order, it's about political enforcement. Finally, the censorship. The FBI was actively pressuring big tech to silence you and me. They didn't want us talking about the Hunter Biden laptop, about COVID origins, about anything that challenged their narrative. They turned Silicon Valley into their own personal ministry of truth. This hearing is a glimmer of hope. It shows that when we fight back, when we elect senators with a backbone, we can force these issues into the light. We need a complete overhaul of the FBI. We need to root out every last activist, every partisan operative who thinks their job is to police our thoughts and our faith. This is why we fight. This is why we cannot back down. Our First and Second Amendments are the bedrock of this nation, and they are under direct assault from within. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. If you believe in holding these agencies accountable, share this video everywhere. Don't forget to like this video if you agree, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. This is Jace Manwa, signing off. Stay vigilant, and may God bless America.